Hi everyone, my name is Victoria. I'm the leader of this team. Let me ask you a few questions before start our presentation. Have you ever heard about climate change and what climate change is? If you don't know, please listen to our story. Today we're going to share a TED Talk which Greta Thunberg announced in August 2018. 4 people, including me, will share this presentation and speech on the other contents. Let's introduce participants here are doing. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Ayaan. I'm in charge of the first part of the project. My role is Greta Thunberg's life and how to search for conservation. After that, what happened to her life? I shadow her thoughts and arguments. Thank you.
Hi, I am Joy. I am going to introduce about the IPCC 6th report and the Paris Agreement. Please listen carefully in my story. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Julie. My part of this script is People's Strong Point and Greta Thunberg's future, the year 2050, 2078, 2103. During preparing this project, I realized the climate crisis is very serious, and this crisis will have a huge impact on our future environment. Let's see all the problems that the climate change is causing. Thank you.
When I was about 8 years old, I heard about something of climate change or global. Apparently, that by my way, I was told to turn off the light to save energy and to recycle paper resources. I remember thinking that there's very strange that humans, for an animal species among others, could be capable of changing the Earth's climate. Because if you were and really happening, you wouldn't be talking about anything else. As soon as you turn on the TV, everything about that. Headlines, radios, newspapers, you didn't never read or hear anything else. As if there was a war. But no one talked about it. If burning fossil fuels was the best that it threatened our very existence, how could it just continue like before? Why aren't there no restrictions? Why wasn't it made illegal? To me, that did not add up. You know, to unreal. So when I was 11, I became ill. I fell into depression and I stopped talking and I stopped eating. In 2 months, I lost about 10 kilos of weight. Later on, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, mostly after the wisdom. That basically means I always been when I sorry. Now it's one of those moments. For those of us who are on the spectrum, almost everything is black or white. We aren't very green line, and we usually don't enjoy participating in the social game that the rest of the seems to fond of. I think in many ways the autistic are the number one, that the rest of the people are pretty strange. Especially when it comes to sustainability crisis, where everyone keeps saying climate change is an existential threat and the most important issue for. And yet, they just carrying on like before. I don't understand that. Because if the emissions have to stop, then you must stop the emissions. To me, that is black and white. There are no gray areas when it comes to survival. Either we go on as civilization or we don't. We have to change.
Countries like Sweden need to stop reducing our emissions by at least 15% every year, and that is so that we can stay below a 2-degree warming target. Yet, as the IPCC have recently demonstrated, aiming instead for 1.5 degrees Celsius will significantly reduce the climate impacts. But we can only imagine what that means for reducing emissions. You would think the media and every one of our leaders would be talking about nothing else. but they never even mention it. Nor does hardly anyone ever speak about the greenhouse gases already locked in the system. Nor that air pollution is hiding in a warming, so when we stop burning fossil fuels, we can have an extra level of warming, perhaps as high as 0.5 to 1.1 degrees Celsius. Furthermore, does hardly anyone ever speak about the fact that we are in the midst of the sixth mass extinction, with up to 200 species going extinct every single day. That the extinction rate today is between 1,000 to 10,000 times more higher than what is seen as normal. Nor does hardly anyone ever speak about the aspect or equity or climate justice clearly stated in the Paris Agreement, which is absolutely necessary to make it work on a global scale. That means that rich countries need to get down to zero emissions within 6 to 12 years with today's emission speed. And that is so that people in poorer countries can have a chance to heighten their standard of living by building some of the infrastructure that we have already built, such as roads, schools, hospitals, clean drinking water, electricity, and so on. Because how can we expect countries like India or Nigeria to care about the climate crisis if we who already have everything don't care even a second about it on our actual commitments? So why are we not reducing our emissions? Why are they still fact increasing? Are we knowingly causing a mass extinction? Are we evil? No, of course not.
People keep doing what they do because the vast majority doesn't have a clue about the actual consequences of our everyday life, and they don't know there are big changes required. Weird thing we know, and weird thing everybody knows, but we don't. Because how could we? If there really was a crisis, and if this crisis was caused by our emissions, we would deadly see some signs. Not just polluted cities, tens of thousands of dead people, whole nations, leveled to piles of torn down buildings. You will see some restrictions, but no, and no one talks about it. There are no emergency meetings, no headlines, no breaking news. No one is acting as if we are in a crisis. Even most climate scientists or green politicians keep on flying around the world eating meat and dairy. If I live to be 100, I'll be alive in the year 2103. When you think about the future today, you don't think beyond the year 2050. By then, I will, in the best case, not even live half of my life. What happens next? The year 2078, I will celebrate my 75th birthday. If I have children or grandchildren, maybe they will spend the day with me. Maybe they will ask me about you, the people who were around back in 2018. Maybe they will ask why you didn't do anything, where there still was time to act. What we do or don't right now will affect my entire life and life of my children and grandchildren. What we do or don't right now, me and my generation can't undo in the future. So, when school started in August of this year, I decided that this was enough. I sat myself down on the ground outside the Swedish Parliament. I school strike for the climate. Some people say that I should be in school instead. Some people say that I should study to become a climate scientist, so that I can solve the climate science crisis. But the climate crisis has already been solved. We already have the facts and solutions. Now we have to do is to wake up and change. And why should I be studying for a future that soon we know more? When no one is doing anything whatsoever to save the future. And what is the point of learning facts in the school system? when the most important facts given by the famous science of the same school system clearly means nothing to our politics and our society. Some people say that Sweden is just a small country and it doesn't matter what we do. But I think if a few children can get headlines all over the world just by not coming to school for a few weeks, imagine what we could all do together if we wanted to. Now we're almost at the end of my talk, and this is where people usually start talking about hope. Solar panels, wind power, circular economy, and so on. But I'm not going to do that. We've had 30 years of pep talking and selling positive ideas, but I'm sorry, it doesn't work. Because if it were, the emissions have to gone down by now. They haven't. And yes, we do need hope. Of course we do. But the one thing we need more than hope is action. Once we start to act, hope is everywhere. So instead of looking for hope, look for action. Then, and only then, hope will come. Today, we use 100 million barrels of oil every single day. There are no politics to change that, and there are no rules to keep that in the ground. So we can't save the world by playing by the rules, because the rules have to be changed. Everything needs to be changed, and it has to be started today. Thank you.
감사합니다.